Hello Aztecs, happy Halloween and welcome to another Daily Aztec broadcast. I'm Angela Kurish.
And I'm Luis Lopez.
On Monday, with a 48-42 vote, Senate Republicans confirmed Justice Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court. Only one Republican senator, Susan Collins of Maine, voted against Barrett's confirmation. Barrett is President Trump's third Supreme Court appointment since taking office, and Republicans fast-tracked her confirmation as millions of Americans have already cast their vote in the 2020 presidential election, thus backpedaling on statements made in 2016 when the Senate, led by Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, refused to hold hearings on President Obama's nominee Merrick Garland because of the impending election.
Since Halloween is this weekend, SDSU has put in place a stay-at-home advisory for students on and off campus. The advisory will be enforced starting Friday at 6 p.m. and ending Monday at 6 a.m. Since the start of the semester, SDSU has reported 1,231 positive cases of COVID-19 among students. After spiking in September, the number of new cases has steadily decreased. However, after several large gatherings around the college area were shared on social media and reported to the university, administrators continue to make clear that students who violate the Code of Conduct policies will face sanctions up to suspension and expulsion. As an alternative to Halloween parties, the university encourages students to join multiple virtual Halloween-related events that they will be hosting.
Do you think everyone in the United States has the right to vote? If Proposition 17 is passed, it would allow people who are on parole to vote in California. The Daily Aztec's social media editor, Caitlin Nguyen, talked to several members of the community about their opinions on Prop 17. Take a look.
With the election quickly approaching, all of the propositions on the ballot can get confusing. Today, we'll be talking to people who are directly affected by them, or those who know someone who will be affected. Prop 17 looks to restore the right to vote to state parolees, or to people directly after they've been released from prison.
I strongly believe that no one should have their right to vote taken away, that their perspective is very important, that it be included within the perspectives of all the rest of us, the perspective that is carried right by our vote. I also think that that for their own rehabilitation, make them think that they've been exiled from society, I think that hurts their chances for effective rehabilitation. If we keep them close, right, keep them involved in the life of the Republic, I think it's very helpful for them and thereby helpful for all of us.
Some SDSU alum believe that restoring parolees' right to vote will make them feel more socially accepted and engaged in their community again.
But it does have some type of social impact where you feel more acceptable to society. So it is going to have somewhat of an impact. I mean, once I got off paperwork and, you know, for my example, I got off paperwork and I know I can vote now. And even the DMV sent me the paperwork like, hey, you want to vote? I felt more acceptable, like, to the system or to the government, to the state. I felt like a little bit more of a part of the country.
The state Senate and Assembly are both in favor of passing this proposition. If passed, about 50,000 new voters would be registered, and the total cost of it would be less than 1% of the state's current general fund budget.
Or like the system is like designed in a way like almost to like disenfranchise minorities, and not allowing people to vote on parole to me is like the new Jim Crow. If you look at statistically who's being incarcerated, who's on parole, it's so heavily male. I think it's Black males are the highest. 1 in 3 Black men have a record by the time they're 30. And because it's like a reoccurring door, basically these people are never getting off of parole to be able to vote. So it's like their voice never matters.
What way will you be voting for Prop 17 and the rest of the propositions? We'll keep you updated on their outcomes and more election-related issues. And for the Daily Aztec, I'm Caitlin Nguyen.
Now going to sports. Big news from the Mountain West this week as the conference announced Thursday that baseball, volleyball, and women's soccer will all be returning this spring. Each sport will be playing conference-only games starting in March. Each sport will conclude its season with a championship game that will grant teams an automatic bid to their respective sports' national NCAA tournament, which for volleyball and women's soccer has been also delayed to spring 2021. Looking at SDSU football now, the Aztecs won their season opener in blowout fashion, defeating UNLV by a score of 34-6. With the team able to put up so many points on the Runnin' Rebels, sports editor Kyle Betts has a look inside this new Aztec offense.
Last season, much of San Diego State football's success came from its defense. But in the Aztecs season opener against UNLV, they were able to put up offensive numbers we haven't seen since 2017. With 27 first-half points, the Aztecs cruised to a 34-6 victory over the Runnin' Rebels. Leading the way in new offensive coordinator Jeff Hecklinski's offense was senior running back Greg Bell. It was Bell's first game in 25 months after transferring from Nebraska and suffering from an eye injury. He made his mark on his debut with 111 yards and a touchdown. After the game, he said everything just seemed to work out on his first night back.
I was just going out there trying to run the hardest I can. My O-line opened up a lot of holes for me, and the coaches called very good plays, and everything worked out well.
3 junior running backs also got involved. Chance Bell had 40 yards and 2 touchdowns, Kagan Williams put up 81 rushing yards, and Jordan Bird ran for 40 yards. That's 287 yards on the ground. Now the Aztecs will aim for similar production on offense against an 0-1 Utah State team tonight. And for the Daily Aztec, I'm Kyle Betts.
We'll keep you updated on all things Aztec football as the season continues. The Aztecs are on the road for their first away game this season. They'll take on the Aggies of Utah State at 6:30. Sports reporter Amber Salas is currently at Maverick Stadium in Logan, Utah for an update on tonight's game.
Thanks, Luis. I'm standing here today outside of Maverick Stadium where the Aztecs are set to play in their first road game of the season tonight against the Aggies of Utah State. Now for the Aztec fans that made the trip out to Logan this weekend, this is the first time they'll be able to see their team play live in action in 316 days. Now Utah State is allowing 22% of their stadium's capacity tonight, which will end up being around 5,000 fans. The Aztecs are playing their home games with no fans this whole season, so this will really be their first look at that environment tonight. Many of their families even made the trip out this weekend, including Darren Hall's family, who drove across all 3 states to see him play tonight. Now it is expected to drop as low as 37 degrees tonight, which is definitely not what the Aztecs are used to playing in Southern California, but no matter the temperature, the environment with fans, or the altitude here, they're here for one job only, and that is to play football and get the job done on the field here tonight.
It'll probably be a little louder than the audio we had at our stadium, but for them, I see it being cool. For us, it like I said, it doesn't really matter. We're coming to play football. These are uncertain times in the world, but one thing we know, that football is football. When you step on the white lines, fans or no fans, we're going to play football, and that's what we're taught to do, and that's what we're going to do.
We got beat by them last year, so obviously we're going to be coming in with a chip.
Now the Aztecs defense may have more of a challenge tonight facing Utah State's quarterback Jason Shelley and the offense. Aztecs defensive coordinator Kurt Maddox said he expects to see them bring a fast tempo and expects to see them running the ball a lot. Now in last week's victory against UNLV, the Aztecs defense only allowed 6 points, but even that was too much for them.
Our goal as a defense to pitch a shutout, and anything less than that is, to us, is unacceptable, and that's the motto we live by. So if it's not a shutout, it's a decent game. If it is a shutout, we always got more to do and more to learn from. So we're never really content with what we do until we win the conference championship.
Be sure to follow along on our Twitter at DAzTechSports. We'll bring you updates from the game, and you can tune in to CBS Sports for their coverage. Luis and Angela, back to you.
That's all from us here in the studio. If you like what you saw here this evening, then keep your eyes peeled for next week when we drop our latest digital issue. And for the Daily Aztec, I'm Angela Kurish.
And I'm Luis Lopez. Have a good night and a happy Halloween.